That is a good guess. The word whale, I think, might be a little bit of a trick. I don't know. Mallow, what do you think?
I feel like it's cheating if I do this,
That
and if
is a
I get
good
this
guess.
wrong,
The
it's going to
whale,
be
I think,
really
might be a little bit of
embarrassing.
a trick. I don't know. Sorry about that. It's my volume playing double. Okay, sorry. Mallow, what is your guess?
I was like, I feel like it's going to be really embarrassing if I get this wrong. I feel like I need to know this, but I'm gonna back Louisa on this. I'm going blue whale.
And Adrian in our chat says the same thing. I think maybe my first question was a little easy. He says blue whale as well. Sarah, what is the answer to our first trivia question? Awesome job. Blue whale is right. Okay, so our guest speakers know and our friends joining us know as well. So that's good to see. All right, let's try number 2. What is the name of the largest coral reef system in the world? Is it the Marianas Trench, the Great Coral Reef, the Pacific Barrier Reef, or the Great Barrier Reef? Now, if we have any of our friends joining from Australia, I know a few of them said they visited this reef before. So that's a little hint for some of you as well. So you can type A, B, C, or D in the chat. You can type the whole name in. I will also say we are now live on YouTube as well. So those of us that are joining live on YouTube, feel free to pop your answers in the chat. I'm happy to bring those over to our Zoom. Let us know, what do you think is the largest coral reef system? Mala, I'll let you go first on this one this time. What do you think it is for this one?
See, this is where the wording gets a little bit tricky, but I'm gonna go with what folks in the chat are saying. I'm gonna go with D. I'm gonna go with Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, I'm seeing some Great Barrier Reef, Great Coral Reef. Louisa, what do you think?
Gonna have to back Mala. It's Great Barrier Reef, I think.
And Katie, did you have a thought for this one? What did you think this one was?
I also thought Great Barrier Reef.
Okay, I think most of us maybe have heard Great Barrier Reef a few times. Could be the clue for this one. Sarah, could you pull our answer up for this question? Awesome, man. We got some smart kids in the room today, I think. There were a lot of D's in the chat. Great Barrier Reef is right, the largest coral reef system on the planet. And we are going to talk a little bit about some of the ways that we can protect coral reefs like this today. So if you ever maybe want to go snorkeling or scuba diving one day, you are going to want to listen closely. Okay, next question. What are the tiny pieces of plastic called that can be harmful to ocean animals? Are they called microplastics, macroplastics, recyclables, or fish food? Now we will see if anybody types D for this one. I mean, it's not technically wrong. They do eat it. So what are we thinking? And I think actually, Oceanwise, are you talking a little bit about this one today? So maybe I won't ask you the answer to this one. How about Louisa?
Is it microplastics?
I think that might be the right answer. We'll give everyone a minute to see if they can put some answers in there as well. I'm seeing some B's, micro, macro. All right, Sarah, what's the answer for this one? Microplastics is right. So micro means small, macro means big. So yes, this one is a microplastics. And I think we have time for one more trivia question. So what causes sea levels to rise over time? Is it pollution, overfishing, melting ice caps, or rainfall? So again, you could type A, B, C, or D in the chat. You can type the whole word in the chat, whatever works for you. And if you're joining us live on YouTube, you are welcome to pop your answers in the chat as well. So what do we think causes those ocean levels to rise? It can be really dangerous for people living close to the coast. Katie, I'm going to throw it to you first for this one. You can have first guess on this one.
I'm going to say melting ice caps.
Melting ice caps. I mean, it makes sense. They are made of ice. Ice can turn into water. That is a very good guess. I'm seeing some guesses as well for rainfall. Rain can definitely cause flooding, so I could maybe see that. Louisa, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's melting ice caps too.
All right. Well, we got to go to the expert, our ocean expert. Malo, what do you think the answer for this one is?
I think the panelist team's got it. I think it's melting ice caps.
Awesome. All right. The answer for this one is melting ice caps. Yeah, so all of that ice floating on top of the water melts and goes into the water, causing the oceans to rise. I think that's all the time we have. We're already 6 minutes in, so I think we're going to skip our last couple trivia questions here and go right to our welcome. So welcome to World Oceans Day. We're so happy to have you all here with us. I would like to begin by doing a land acknowledgement. So I would like to acknowledge that I am joining you all from Amiskwaciwâskahikan. This is colonially known as Treaty 6, and it is an area, colonially known as Edmonton, Alberta. It's an area that has been a traditional gathering place and traveling route for many, many years. And this is for people including the Cree, the Saulteaux, the Blackfoot, the Métis, Dene, and the Nakota Sioux. Now, since we're also joining on a virtual platform, I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of all of the traditional territories that you are joining from across Turtle Island, but also around the world. So from coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territories of the Inuit, the Métis, and the First Nation people that call this land home. And as we reflect on this connection to the land, I think it's also important to remember the waters that run across them, through them as well. The rivers, the lakes, and the oceans that connect and surround Turtle Island are what connect us and provide us food, water, and even oxygen. So we're really lucky today to be able to look deeper into our connection, not just with the traditional lands, but also the waters, as we discover ways to give back to these resources to ensure healthy oceans remain for many generations to come. Okay, we have a very full event today. So as we take a look at the agenda here, I just want to give you a couple quick reminders. Number one, you are welcome to, I played with the settings. You should be able to turn your cameras on if you have a camera. So if you are allowed to, we would love to be able to see your smiling faces, because we will be able to share a little bit of art at the end of the event. If you're camera shy, you're not able to share your camera, that's totally okay. There's lots of ways to participate. So you can type your answers in the chat, and we would be happy to answer those. As well, if you're joining on YouTube, you can type your questions in the chat and we can carry those over. Now, my next slide, I have something exciting for everyone. We have a cool activity that you get to participate in today. Now, your teachers would have received this sheet when they registered for the event. If you didn't have time to print it off, that's totally fine. All you need to do is grab a blank piece of paper and put it on the desk in front of you. So on this piece of paper, we want everyone to draw what they think a healthy ocean environment would look like. So you can put plants and animals and whatever else you think you might find in the ocean. Now, even better, for World Oceans Day, we would like you to write a message in your art as well. So tell us what message you would have for decision makers or people in the government, or people who can make a big difference for the oceans. What message would you add to your art? So throughout the event, we would love for you guys to work on these art pieces. Maybe you can add some ideas from some of the topics that our guests are speaking about. And at the end of the event, if you do have a camera, you are welcome to share your art pieces on camera for us. Okay, that's all the reminders that I have. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Mala Sharma. From cute and cuddly kittens to creepy crawly insects, Mala has always had a passion and love for nature. She studied environmental studies at York University and embarked on her mission to become an environmental educator. She absolutely loves teaching about ocean conservation and is motivated to inspire youth around the world to take action against climate change. So Mala, I will pass the microphone over to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Hello, everybody. A happy World Ocean Day. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I get to obsess and talk about our wonderful, amazing ocean with all of you folks. And today's even more exciting because I know so many of you are joining from very different places around the world. So that's really, really neat. It's something that I love about the ocean as well. Rebecca kind of talked about. We're all connected to each other through our rivers and our streams, our lakes, our oceans. And I'm sure we all rely on it just as much as the other person does. And we take a lot from it, which means we also got to give a lot back. So in today's program, I'm hoping to talk to you all about obviously how cool the ocean is, but we're also going to be talking about some of the problems that the ocean is facing and then what we can do to help protect the ocean. Before we do that, I want to introduce myself just a little bit. So as Rebecca mentioned, my name is Mala. I use she and her pronouns, and I am actually located in Toronto, which is Toronto, Ontario, which is the traditional territory of many different nations, including the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat people, and also the Mississaugas of the Credit. This land is also home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And before getting the program started, I think it's really important for us to honor this land and extend my thank you to the communities who have been here since time immemorial, taking care of our wonderful land, sea, and sky. Now, one thing that I love about the ocean, and probably the reason why I got into ocean education, is because of all of the amazing animals that live inside of it. I think two of my favorite ocean animals are whale sharks and nudibranchs. And if I could be an ocean animal, I'd probably be one of these two. And I want to get to know you folks a little bit better as well. So message me in the chat and let me know what ocean animal you would be if you could be an ocean animal, and panelists as well. Please let me know, what ocean animal would you be? Maybe it's one of these pictures or one that's not on this list. But send me a message and let me know what you're thinking.
Mine might
Ooh.
be obvious based on the trivia question that we skipped over.
The octopus. Yeah, no, of course. I feel like you have 8 arms, you can do multiple things all at once. Yeah, that's a great pick. We've got Amanda mentioning a sea otter. Cute and cuddly, maybe. Absolutely, you love snacking on little sea urchins. Yeah, that's great. Oh, we got multiple otter answers. A bunch of people want to be sea otters. That's pretty, you know what? They're pretty relaxed guys. They like to kind of hang out and float around on the surface of the ocean. It's a good pick. All right, well, keep those answers coming in. I'll keep reading them. Oh, we got one, a polar bear. Ooh, an apex predator. That's pretty neat. Ooh, we got a whale. Yeah. Super strong, super mighty, swimming through all the different oceans. That's a great answer as well. Wonderful answers. Thank you all so much for participating. Our program today is going to have loads of activities and trivia. So hopefully you can keep that energy up and we can keep engaging with each other to keep the program super exciting. All right, keep those answers coming in and I'll introduce Oceanwise just a little bit. So I know Rebecca mentioned a little bit about who I'm representing here today and who I work for. So I actually work for a really cool organization called Oceanwise. We are based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, and we are focused on educating and bringing awareness to climate change, overfishing, and ocean pollution to everybody around the world. Now, we have a bunch of teams that work together to essentially make this goal come true. And our goal is to connect youth and empower all of you to make positive and environmentally conscious decisions. So we are a nonprofit and we focus on a lot of different ocean themes. And today we're going to be exploring just a couple of them. The ocean is absolutely beautiful. It's so diverse and we get so much from it. And in order to understand that a little bit better, I'm going to introduce some of the topics that we're going to go through again today, and then we're going to jump in to a game. So as I mentioned earlier, today we're going to explore 3 different things. We're going to be we're going to explore some of the threats to the ocean. So what's kind of impacting our ocean really negatively. We're going to talk about some of our connections to water. So how we rely on water and how water might rely on us. And then last but not least, we're going to discuss some ways that we can protect the ocean. Now, before we jump into our game, I have a really important question to ask you all, and that is, why is water so important to you? What is your connection to water, and why is it important to you? So take an opportunity. If you're in your classrooms, you can talk to each other. You can talk to the person beside you, and you can send in those answers together. If you're by yourself, message me in the chat, and let me know, why is water important to you? And panelists as well, if you want to jump in and share any connections or stories to water.
You know, I will say for me, my family grew up with a cabin on a lake. So fishing and swimming and hanging out with my family, that's what I think of when I think about water. I know it's not quite an ocean, but I'm in the middle of a very large continent.
Hey, Rebecca, as I mentioned, all water is connected. So it's not an ocean, but it's still just as important. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. All right, I hope some of you folks are talking in your classrooms. I know for me, I come from a really small village in India, in the forest, in the mountains. And we used to have to hike for miles and miles to get to a small little well and collect some fresh water there. And every time we did, we would always be so grateful for the water that the natural earth provides. It was a ground well, so the water would come up from the ground. And it's to this day some of the sweetest water I've ever drank. So when I think about my connection to water, I think about how much just one area of groundwater can provide for communities everywhere across villages. We've got some folks in the chat coming in with amazing connections. We got because we need to use water to drink. Absolutely. We need water for animals and plants. The ocean has ecosystems. Yes. And those ecosystems need the water in order to survive and have more animals. Exactly. I think the word that we're looking for is biodiversity. There's so much biodiversity in our ocean. In fact, 65% of the oxygen that we breathe comes from our ocean. So our ocean and our water systems are important for so many different ways. And I have a really fun game here that's going to kind of showcase exactly how important water is to us. We're going to be playing a game of higher or lower. All right. So I'm going to give us kind of like a statement. I'm going to give you a value, and you need to tell me, you need to let me know if you think that it takes more or less water than what I suggested. All right. So we're going to start off with somewhat of a simple one. This one still throws quite a few people off. And if you have your camera on, you can show me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you think it's higher or lower as well, all right? So starting off with our first one here, a family of 3 uses around 400 liters of water every single day. So what do we think? Could it be higher or lower? All right, Rebecca's going higher. We've got some classrooms, we've got some mixed answers, but most people are using higher. And I will say, this is on average for Canada, North America, I would say, like Canada and United States, kind of. So that might shift your answer as well, depending on where you're joining from. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up for higher. And we're off to a really strong start, my friends. The answer is absolutely higher, unfortunately. Around 630 liters of water are being used on average for a 3-person household. So that's around 4 tubfuls of water every single day for a 3-person household. All right, next question here. We use around 9,000 liters of water for a single pair of jeans. What do we think? Could denim be using that much water? What do we think? All right, Rebecca's going lowers. Our classrooms are showing mixed answers, but most of us are guessing lower. All right, most of us are guessing lower here in the chat, saying lower. All right, if you guess lower, you're absolutely correct, but it isn't that much lower. It's actually around 7,600 liters of water for a single pair of jeans. So a lot of water is used to create the clothing that we put onto our body as well. All right, next question. Around 50 liters of water are used for one single egg. Holy cow, what do we think? I'm seeing a lot of higher, and I'm seeing some hesitancy of like, there's no way it uses that much water. I'm gonna show us the answer in 3, 2, 1. The answer for this one is actually higher. It actually takes around 200 liters of water for a single egg, which is around 100 jugs of water to produce a single egg. And you need to think of it in a way as how that egg is being produced. So how much water is it going to take to help grow that chicken that is laying that egg, right? How much water is it going to take to produce the food that that chicken needs in order to stay healthy so that it lays eggs? How much water is it going to take to house that chicken, to transport those eggs, all that stuff. So it does take quite a lot of water. All right, I got one more here for us. I think this is the last one. How much water does it take, more or less than 4,000 liters of water for a single pound of beef? What do we think? Ooh, after the chicken one, I'm seeing a lot of folks guessing higher. We all got our thinking caps on now. All right, if you guessed higher, you are absolutely correct. It takes around 7,000 liters of water for 1 pound of beef. Now, obviously, we're all probably excited that we got the answer right, but I know that can be pretty scary, right? Clearly, we use a lot of water without even realizing it. But in order to protect our ocean, we have to be very careful with how much we're consuming and what we're consuming. Because the effects of our consumption has are the effects of our consumption are really, really big on our ocean, and it's very, very negative, and it's impacting things like climate change. Now, I know a lot of us have probably heard of climate change, but sometimes it's hard to identify and really define what it is. There's so much to explore and learn about our ocean, and our ocean is very, very different in every part of the world, but we also have a lot in common as well. And one of those themes, unfortunately, is climate change. Right now there are a variety of threats that our ocean is facing, like climate change, overfishing, and ocean pollution. But let's talk about climate change a little bit more. What exactly is it? Climate change is severely impacting our ocean, and it affects animals, plants, organisms, and people around the world. And a really important thing that we can do to help combat climate change is raise our voice and learn about the effects of it on the environment, on the ocean. So, exactly what we're doing today, all of you folks joining today to learn about Ocean Wise is already one step in the right direction. So, what exactly is it? Climate change is a long-term change in global or regional climate average weather patterns. So it essentially means that it's getting hotter every single year, or it's getting colder every single year. In our case, it's been getting hotter every single year, and I think a lot of us have seen the impacts of it. In fact, animals all around the world in different ecosystems are impacted by climate change, and we need the ocean in order to survive. Climate change, pollution, and overfishing are just a few of the things impacting it, but they're all somewhat connected. For example, reefs are being bleached around the world, kelp forests are being lost, and they can't regenerate because of the heat of the ocean, because the ocean is getting warmer. Animals are therefore losing their food and their homes. And as we mentioned earlier, sea levels are rising because our ice caps are melting. And most of our fish populations have also been critically depleted. Climate change can be very well seen and observed in very cold areas of the world, like the Arctic Circle up north, right, where our polar bears live. The Arctic Circle is one of two polar circles, and it's the most northerly one, so the one all the way on top. And when we think about the Arctic, we think about the cold ice and the snow and the polar bears and the Arctic seals and the Arctic foxes and things like that. Unfortunately, the Arctic has been significantly impacted by climate change. Ice in the Arctic Circle used to account for around 4% of the entire Earth's surface. But between the 80s and 2020, ice cover actually ended up shrinking by around 13%. That's only in the last 30 years. And even the ice that still exists, it's not as strong, and it's way thinner, and it's way weaker than it once used to be. And this can have really, really big impacts on people and animals. And I want to turn it over to you folks. What do you think? What type of impacts do you think melting ice has had on Inuit communities that are living up there in the north and animals that might be trying to live there as well? Message me in the chat and let me know what you think the impact of climate change might be on these ecosystems and these communities. And panelists as well, feel free to jump in.
I will say too, I know that we have a couple schools joining us from areas very far from the Arctic Circle. So this might be something that they often don't think about or talk about. And maybe some schools in Canada might be a little bit more versed in hearing about the impacts of lower ice pack. But I'm going to wait and see. I don't want to give anything away. I don't know if any of our kids here might know what some of the impacts are.
No worries. Yeah, no, it's a lot of us when we're not there directly, we sometimes forget about it, right? We kind of forget, hey, you know what? I'm not living in the snow, so I don't really have to worry about it. But remember, our rivers and streams and oceans are connected. So it's important to think about how our habits in the West or wherever we are, if they're all impacting climate change and everything is warming up, it's going to affect our oceans and our rivers and streams as well. I actually have a video here of Mia who lives in northern Canada, and she's seen many, many changes in her environment due to climate change. So let's take a look at what her experience has been.
Youth my age definitely believe that climate change is happening, and that's what we call it. We usually get at least 5 blizzards a year in winter. Last year we had 1. Permafrost melting, hotter summers, those are huge changes that I've seen. I'm scared if it's going to get worse and our summers are going to get hotter and our winters aren't going to last as long. That will change the entire Inuit culture and what we follow.
There we go. You have it. So she's observed that there's been less ice, there's been less storms, and maybe wherever you are, you might have noticed as well. Maybe it's hotter and drier and the air quality is poorer. This is all because of climate change. There's also something else influencing climate change, and it's the big P word. It is the plastic problem. Plastics have invaded our ocean and are one of the largest threats and problems that life inside and outside the ocean are facing. Plastic has really, really big impacts on the environment. I would like everybody to take an opportunity right now to take a look around wherever they are sitting and maybe point out 3 things to your teacher or wherever you may be joining from that are made out of plastic. And panelists, if you want to hold some plastic items up onto your camera to show us what you have kind of in arm's reach that's made out of plastic. What do I have? Yep, there we go. We got some markers, plastic water bottle. I have a little perfume bottle that's in plastic. Yep, I got my phone case that's made out of plastic. And we got some fidget things. We got some markers, pens, boxes, containers. I'm seeing our classrooms holding up a bunch of plastic. See, my friends, that was in under 10 seconds. In under 10 seconds, every single one of us on this call today were able to find something made out of plastics. They're pretty much unavoidable because of how cheap and easy they are to produce and use, right? And they're really, really useful, of course, but they can have a very, very big impact on our environment that isn't very safe. Plastics have also been produced very, very fast. I have a little trivia question here for you. Message me in the chat or show me on your fingers which one you think it is. How long do you think it's taken for half of the world's plastic to be produced? Do we think it's been in the last 50 years, in the last 30 years, last 20 years, or the last 15 years? What do we think? All right, seeing lots of 1s and 2s. Ooh, seeing lots of 1s and 2s. Ooh, the answer is going to be shocking. It's going to surprise us all. The answer is actually number 4. It's actually the last 15 years. Half of the world's plastic has been produced in pretty much half of my lifespan, right? And most of this plastic, scientists know, are not recyclable. Even though we know how harmful plastic is, trends show that plastic production is still increasing. And to put it into scale as to how many animals it's affected, around 90% of seabirds have ingested some sort of plastic, and it's predicted that by 2050, if we continue producing plastic like this, 99% of seabirds will have plastic inside of them, which is not very good for our animal friends. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to be eating plastic. Now, 50% of plastic that's produced is designed for immediate disposal, meaning that we can't even use it again. And most of the plastic, if not all of the plastic that's ever been created, has never been recycled again. That means a lot of it's floating around in our ocean, and that a lot of our animal friends end up getting caught inside of it. And Rebecca mentioned something called microplastics earlier as well. That is when those big plastics break down into tinier, tinier little pieces, and a bunch of animals end up accidentally eating it because they thought it was food. So for that reason, it kind of goes up the food chain and can really, really harm them as well. Now, I had a video here, but I'm going to skip over it just because of time. But it just explains how microplastics kind of go up the food chain. So animals end up eating other animals that have plastic inside of them, and that's how animals like whales and sharks end up with plastics inside of them as well. So much of Canada is connected to water and oceans, and I'm sure so many other countries are as well. So now thinking about climate change and thinking about plastic pollution, I'd love to turn it back over to you folks as I get ready to end my session here. I would love to know what changes you have seen near you during climate change, or sorry, due to climate change. So what are some changes that you've seen or some impacts of climate change that you've seen? I know because of the wildfires going on, I've been seeing a lot of more smoke in the sky and the sun has been far more red instead of yellow. I know there's been less snow.
I see people diligently working on their art pieces in their videos.
It's amazing. I love it. There's going to be some amazing artwork. All right, so keep that question in the back of our mind too, right? Like, let's be observant. Let's take a look around and see how it's impacting things around us. Again, the ocean is incredibly diverse and extremely beautiful. We use it as a source of water, food, medicine. It inspires cultures around the world and it produces most of the oxygen that we breathe. Around 3 billion people rely on it as their primary source of food, and around 250 million people rely on it for their jobs, right? So protecting the ocean also means protecting us and protecting the people and the environments that we love and care for. So what are some things that you can do to help? I have 3 quick suggestions here. One is we can reduce our consumption, meaning reuse and repurpose the things that you have or try to buy locally. By buying locally, that means that there's less shipping, less trucks, airplanes, boats that are all transporting goods around. So that means less carbon emissions. So consuming less is a really, really big thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is doing what you're doing today. You can learn and support. You can join programs like today's and like programs that CGE, Green Learning, everybody does to try and raise awareness. You can join those programs and learn more and then share that knowledge with your friends and families, which is my last point here. You can tell your friends and family what you learned. If you feel like you learned something new today, or you feel like you're learning something new in your classrooms or from a friend, you can go out and share that knowledge so that we can keep that conversation going and continue learning and finding solutions together. All right, that's it for me. Thank you all so much for joining in and listening in on my Ocean-wise session on World Oceans Day. It was so exciting to talk to you all and about what I love most, and I hope you all learned something new and enjoyed today's program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mala. I mean, I always learn so much when you come and do a presentation for us. So I'm sure that the kids got a lot out of it as well. I will say too, kind of on that vein of activities that you can do to make a difference going forward. The art that you guys are working on right now can actually make a big difference for climate action around the world. So I had mentioned you're drawing your ocean scene. I would love to see you write a little message of something you would like decision makers to know about the oceans, right? Like what's one big message you'd like to put out for World Oceans Day? Now, as you guys are working on finishing up these drawings, we have about 10-ish more minutes before we start sharing them on screen. I have another friend joining us here today that is going to let you know what you can do with these art pieces at the end of the event today. So my friend Megan was supposed to join us today. Unfortunately, she was ill this morning, but you guys are very lucky because Katie was able to step in to take her spot. So Katie, thank you again so much for joining us so last minute. We're very happy to have you. I will pass the microphone over to you to let the kids know what they can do with their art.
Perfect. I will share my screen here.
It is loading. I think it's good.
Can you see it?
Perfect.
Wonderful. Okay, well, so thank you everyone for having me today. As Rebecca said, my name is Katie, and I'm actually the Environmental Education Engagement Manager here at Green Learning. I'm really happy to be here to talk to you about climate action for ocean conservation and what you guys can do with your artwork. Just a little bit about myself. So I do have a background in a Master's of Environmental Science, and I live here in Toronto, and it's covered by Treaty 13 under the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And this land is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. So if you haven't heard of Green Learning before, maybe you have, we provide free online resources, activities, and challenges for your teachers and for you guys to really focus on climate change, green economy, and energy. And so our goal is to really empower you guys to use your voice to make some sort of positive change for your evolving world. So I'm going to start by first we're going to go through this. So I have a really cool advocacy tool here, and these are our e-cards, and this is where you can actually turn your ideas into an e-card. So we want you to be able to use your voice through the power of art and creativity, okay? And so you guys are working on those art pieces right now, and so I want you guys to be able to share them with us after. So whether you live inland or you live right by the ocean, oceans need your help, okay? Your voice is so powerful, and you have this opportunity to really advocate and educate others on what's important to you. So this is a really great activity to express your passion for the ocean and how you want to take action for the ocean to help protect it, okay? And a really cool part of this activity is that your messages have the chances to actually reach decision makers. So once you guys share your artwork with us, what we can do is we can turn them into an e-card. So I really encourage you to share your messages and your artwork. And then what we do is once we turn them into an e-card, we can share these with decision makers and really share with them what's important to you and why it's so important. So Rebecca will share the photos of your artwork from today with us, and we'll be able to actually turn them into those e-cards. I do also just want to share with you guys a few different examples of e-cards that we've had in the past. So you can see some students have really focused on advocating for the ocean and really putting down like what they think of the ocean, what they connect with. And so you can see all the different wildlife that they've included. They've also included, say, different activities that you can do within the ocean. So scuba diving or snorkeling, there's so many different ways, and whether or not you want to focus on the ocean or you want to do this activity outside of World's Ocean Day, you can come up with any sort of e-card for any sort of environmental issue that is really important to you. And this one is an e-card of Drake, and a student actually came up with lyrics on melting ice caps, and we turned it into an e-card and actually were able to send it to Drake. So that's pretty cool. So those are just a few of the different ways that you guys can get involved and really share your voice and through your creativity. So I just want to say thank you for having me here today. So you can visit us at programs.greenlearning.ca/ecards to learn more about them. But otherwise, if you guys have any questions, just let me know, and I'll pass it back over to Rebecca.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I did pop that link in the chat for you all as well. You can upload your own e-card, but I would love it if everybody could send me their pictures from the end of the event today. I'll do all the hard work for you. But we are very excited to be able to partner, because this is such a cool way that you can get your idea, your thoughts, your images sent directly to someone that you think could make a difference in your country. Is there a soccer star, a football star in your country that you want to send your e-card to? You can do that through this program. So a really, really cool opportunity. Thank you very much, Katie, for taking the time to share that. Now, up next, I would like to welcome our final presenter, Louisa Aquino. So Louisa is the Social Innovation and Outreach Manager with Taking It Global. She was born in Manila, Philippines, and grew up in Winnipeg, and currently lives in Toronto, which I actually don't think is true anymore. I think you're based in Winnipeg now, Louisa. I should update this. She's a global motivational speaker who's passionate about advocating for youth mental health, gender equality, and human rights. And in 2018, she became one of the youngest top 25 RBC Canadian Immigrant Award recipients and the youngest RBC Youth Award recipient. So we are so excited to have such an amazing, passionate speaker join us today. Louisa is going to be giving you guys your next steps if you want to take even more action, even past making art for Oceans on Oceans Day. So Louisa, I will pass to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rebecca. I'm just going to share my screen. I'm so happy to be here today, joining you from an organization called Taking It Global. And we have an amazing program and platform called Commit to Act. So if you don't know what Commit to Act is, Commit to Act allows users to track the impact of their environmental actions. So it gives you an opportunity to track the impact of your actions. You can see your carbon emission reduction. You can compare and compete with other people around the world, or even just your friends. And you can have fun with taking action towards a more sustainable future. Essentially, the platform lets individuals see the power of collective action and shows that there's no such thing as an action too small. I don't know if you've ever tried to tell somebody to recycle a straw or to recycle a piece of paper, and they go, well, it's just one item, or it's just one piece of paper, it's just one paper straw, it's not going to make a difference. But this app really helps you see that that one thing really does make a really big difference. So how can you use Commit to Act? You can create an account on committoact.org, or you can go on the App Store or Google Play Store and download Commit to Act. And from that platform or app, you'll be able to track your actions and get others to track it as well. So there are quite a few actions that you can track on Commit to Act to log your sustainable actions and see your impact. The first one is sustainable transportation. So that can be opting to walk or bike or use a bus instead of driving in a car. You could mark down avoiding single-use plastics. So if you use a reusable bag instead of a plastic bag, or a reusable water bottle instead of a plastic water bottle, that would be a great way to log your action and make a big difference. Also planting a garden or a tree, and avoiding fast fashion. So that can look like creating your own garments from hand. That can be stitching up a pair of jeans instead of throwing it out and buying a new one. And like we heard from Mal today, it takes so much water to make one pair of jeans. So stitching that up makes a huge difference. Also, washing in cold water instead of hot water. Community cleanups are huge, which means that you can clean up something in a community, you can clean up a shoreline. Also, composting food is a very cool thing to do. And then the last one that we have here is eating plant-based. And again, like Mala shared earlier, there's so much water that goes towards an egg or going towards a pound of ground beef. And so really being mindful of the actions that we take, it might seem like one small meal might not make a difference, but when you see the numbers in terms of how much water is used for so many of the things that we do and eat every single day, it all adds up to make a really big difference. And so when you log your actions on Commit to Act, you get extra points. And you can also make sure to compete with your friends. So if you want to create a team for your classroom or a team with your friends, you can make a little competition out of it. And then you can see here all the points that you can get, all the CO2 that you save, and the weekly points that you can get just by logging your actions. So an example of a young person that did Commit to Act in a project that they had was this fellow named Mohammed. And what he did was he gathered a bunch of students to log actions on Commit to Act. So these ranged from plant-based diets, sustainable transportation, avoiding fast fashion, and altogether they logged 112 actions. And this helped them save over 1,817 kilograms of CO2. And so as an outcome of this event, they had encouraged other participants to try new things that make them conscious of their habits. And people also gained understanding that all of the little things that we do and the little changes that we make can make a really big difference. And so what can you do? We want to encourage you and challenge you to host a community cleanup to celebrate World Oceans Day. So gather your friends or your family to take action. You can clean up a shore, a creekside, lakeside, or any body of water in your community, and log your collection on Commit to Act and see your collective impact. So when you go to log your community cleanup, you'll see this screen here. You can date your cleanup. You can talk about the bags that you collected, the items that were collected, and any small bags that you've collected, and you can show us proof. So show us a picture, show us multiple pictures of all the cool things that you collected and all the bags that you collected, and you'll be able to see the huge impact that you made just by cleaning up a shoreline. And that is all from us at Taking It Global. Thanks so much, everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Louisa. And I will say Commit to Act is very fun and very addicting. So a really cool way to like play with your friends in your class and compete with each other. So I did put the link to that website in the chat as well. We are at time, but we will just take the last couple of minutes here. We do have to hop off to another Oceans Day event, but I still really wanted to see some of this art. So if your class is interested in willing and you have a camera, we would love for you guys to make a line, come up to the screen, hold your art up to the screen so that we can see what it looks like. And we'll go through your classes. And as you are bringing that art around, I wanted to give you one last reminder. Now I'm popping a link into the chat right now. and that is for our Involve Me quiz. Oh, it looks good. Yeah, you guys can go ahead and get started. I'll pin your pictures so that we can see what it looks like. Looks great. So as we're taking a look at some, oh, it's so colorful and beautiful. Some of this beautiful art that's coming across. I would like every class that's participating today at the end of this event to do our Involve Me quiz. Now, this quiz is really fun because it will tell you what ocean animal you are. So you're going to go through all of these questions. I think it's 4 or 5, and then it will tell you, are you a shark? Are you a coral? Are you an octopus? So you can do it as one class, or you can have students log in individually and do the quiz themselves. But I did just pop the link into the YouTube and the Zoom. So we would love to see everybody's answers on that quiz. You guys have about 24 hours to fill it in. And then the second thing I would love for everyone is once you are completely done all of your art, you're so happy with how it all turned out, I would love for you guys to send me that art. So your teacher can scan all of those art pieces, take pictures of all of those art pieces, and send them to me. And we will share them with our friends at Green Learning as e-cards. And we will also add them to our Art for Action Global Gallery. So lots to do. We've got our quiz to do. We've got to finish our art and send it in. We've got to join Commit to Act. We've got lots of different actions that we can take for Ocean Day. I wanted to say one last thank you so much to all of our participating speakers and for our schools that are joining us live here on Zoom, over on YouTube, and those of us that are going to be watching this probably tomorrow. Thank you very much, and happy Oceans Day, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye. Awesome. Okay, have a great day, everyone.